Okay, so we have our black paper and we have our white charcoal. If you do not have black paper, any dark colored paper is fine. If you don't have white charcoal, a white colored pencil is fine for this demo. Okay, so you have a couple options at this point. We're ready to work. We have our materials ready. We have our image ready. You can either start working directly with a charcoal pencil and lightly sketch out your objects. You can also use a regular pencil, okay? Something to think about, black paper sometimes leaves marks when you go to erase, so you have to be aware of that, so you want to be careful. And white charcoal doesn't erase as nicely as a regular pencil will. So if you are sketching out with your white charcoal or white colored pencil in this case, there's a chance that it won't erase as nicely as you want it to. So sometimes it is nice to use a regular pencil. This is a regular graphite pencil. So sometimes it's nicer to use just a regular pencil to kind of sketch it out. I'm not going to do that because there's no way you would be able to see what I'm doing through Zoom. So I'm going to use a white charcoal. But if you would rather use a regular pencil to draw it so you can erase it better, absolutely you can do that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and draw this. And I chose a simple object for us for our demo. Really, this is all you have to look at. There's an oblong oval. Okay, you can see that oval shape right here. We're going to get this shape. And then we're going to get these lines that are not vertical, they're tapered. Okay, so they kind of are slight diagonals that come in. And then remember, with perspective, whatever happens on the top line, okay, happens on the bottom. So they're parallel. So if this is a curve like this, a slight curve here, the bottom is going to have the exact same slight curve. Okay, and that's really all this object is, nice and easy. So you want to fill the space, so I'm going to go ahead and start. You can see where the top of my paper is. I'm going to start by gently sketching in that oval shape that I see. Okay, something kind of like that, probably a little bit more rounded up here. You really want to make sure you capture this shape so that you have an accurate drawing, because if you don't have a good shaped oval, then the perspective of your object will be off. And then you can see I'm just using a regular eraser to kind of take away the white charcoal. And it came off pretty nicely. Not too bad. And I like to dab with my finger to get the eraser marks off. So I have my oval. As I was drawing the oval, I was looking at the image and comparing the two of them. You don't want to just look once and then go for it. You want to look up constantly at what you're trying to draw, because you're trying to draw exactly what you see, not what you think you see. So if you look and you're like, oh, it's an oval, I'm just going to draw an oval. That's not right. You're drawing what you're looking at. You're not drawing what you think you're supposed to be drawing. Okay, so now we're going to draw the sides of the cup, which slightly taper in, so it's not a perfect vertical line. Okay, and then remember, the bottom is not a straight line. You can see it's a curved line because it's a round bottom. So try to curve the bottom, just like the top rim is curved. Okay, so now that we have this is the main setup. So at this point, what we're doing is we're adding in the details, the shapes. And what's really fun about an object like this, because it's such a simple, realistic object, literally it looks like a cup right now, is that everything else is organic. Okay, everything else is what we see. At this point, we're just going to draw the lines and shapes that we see. And if there's a line that's off, if the reflection doesn't look exactly the same, nobody's going to know. Okay, try to capture as many details as you possibly can because it'll make your work look more realistic. But because it's so organic, if something's off a little bit, it's still going to look like a glass cup.
So map out the lines and shapes that you see.
And I think at this point, I'm ready to start shading. I've laid out major shapes, major lines. I kind of mapped it out a little bit. Now I'm ready. Okay, so I'm just gonna go for it. What I would do is I would work my way usually from the left side because I'm right-handed, but definitely from the top, and I'm just gonna work my way down, but it doesn't really matter where you start. You are totally allowed to go all over. Okay, you just need to be careful that you don't rest your hand anywhere accidentally on the image because it will smear it. White charcoal isn't as awful as black charcoal when it comes to that, but it still is a little bit messy. So I'm going to start by making my rim prominent. You can see how the rim of the cup is kind of a thicker white that kind of goes around. It kind of loses its whiteness right here and a little bit right here. So I want to show those things. See how I'm looking for obvious changes. I'm not just going to do one big round oval because that's not what I see. Don't draw what you think you see, draw what you actually see. I see that it kind of goes invisible right here, so I'm going to try to leave that out, and I'm going to make everything else a little bit thicker so it stands out. So you're still looking at the object itself and trying to mimic every little thing that you see, every change, every subtle value difference. And what I'm doing, just like with the black charcoal, is I'm picking out all the darkest darks. So in this case, when I say dark, it's white. So the darkest whites, I guess.
Go ahead and fill in your value throughout.
If you have a piece of tissue or a Kleenex, or you want to try your finger, you're welcome to try to blend some of this stuff out. If you don't want to blend it out, let's say you did a really nice job smoothing it out with the color or with the charcoal pencil, you don't even have to blend. Like I could leave it like this and be okay. I think I'm just going to try to blend just so you guys can kind of see how that looks. At least in some of the bigger areas. This does, I'm using a blending stump. Like I said, you can use a Q-tip, your finger, a piece of tissue rolled into a point. Any of that's fine. You can see that it does kind of smooth out the roughness and the texture of it. But it does pick up a lot of the charcoal, and when it does that, it kind of takes away the subtle changes. So when you're using it, I would rub it off on something else. Like, there's another, see how it picked up all that white charcoal? So I'm trying to rub it off so it doesn't continue to add to the other areas. You can also use your finger, like I said, to blend. That's totally fine. And you don't even have to blend. If you did a nice job smoothing out your value, if you did a nice job having changes with value transitions, you don't have to blend it. For the purpose of the demo video, I'm just going to blend. And there's one more thing we're going to do. If you have black charcoal, could you grab it? Because we're going to add some black details just to kind of highlight some areas that are a little bit darker that we might have lost a little bit while we blended or while we used the eraser maybe. So if you have a black charcoal nearby, grab it. I am done for the most part with white. I think the white kind of took over in some areas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the black and I'm just going to look for some subtle changes within this that have really dark darks that I might have missed. So for example, look at this shape right here. There's a dark shape that kind of shoots across and I don't really have that on mine. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in because I want to capture that. So I'm just going to use a little bit dark right here. And I'm looking at the shape that I see. And I'm cleaning up that white edge. So you can use an eraser to do this. You can use a black charcoal pencil to do this. It's totally up to you. There's a few options that you have. So whatever works for you. And I'm just going to kind of go in and clean up some of the dark lines that separate the white from the white highlights from the darker areas. So I see a really dark shape here. There's like a really dark shape up here that I lost. So just kind of use this to clean up areas that you might want, like the rim, for example. Maybe it's a little bit thinner in the back area.
Okay, once you have finished with the black charcoal and you have finished refining all areas of your final still life, you should have a complete, realistic glass still life. Congratulations! Thanks for watching.